Now that I have the doors fitted to the cupboards, the next thing I'm going to do is cut the tongue and groove for the shelves. If you see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the length of that, then I'm going to cut the tongue and groove to length, and then that will form the shelf for the cupboards. So let's get cracking on that and see how we get on. I now have 3 strips of pine cut from a tree that are now in place for the shelf. What I now have to do is I got to clamp the front one. So what I've just done there is I've planed the tongue part off the tongue and groove cladding, and this then gives me a nice straight clean edge here. So now what I have to do is I've got to mark out for the notch on the tongue and groove, so then the door will slot in, because this one has a center one, and then this door has the 2 slats at the back keeping the door together. So what I have to do is I now have to mark out where I'm going to cut out those notches on the tongue and groove and cut that out then with a jigsaw. And once that's done, I will then secure it to the frame of the cupboard. Let's give that a go and see how we get on. I now have the base of the cupboard secured in place, and I used 20mm screws, 3.5, and a button cap just to give it a nice finish. I also have the shelf now secured in place. How I did that was I used these pins and I secured the shelf, tongue and groove shelf, using these pins. Then once I had that done, I secured the side panel to the side of the cupboard using the same pins. So you can see there, up along the edge and here. That's this side panel on this side. I just have to put in the one on the opposite side. And then the last thing to do is to put on some of this corner moulding just to hide the joint here on the edge. And I'll run it along the side. So I'll run it alongside here and out the front. So then that will give this cupboard a nice finish. The next thing to do with these cupboards is to put a profile on the edge, so you can break the joint and you can hide that joint there like so. And what I've done is I've taken these moulding and I've painted it white. So I'm after giving it 2 coats, then sanded it and give it a final coat of the white paint. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to secure it to the cupboard using panel pins and a hammer. So let's get cracking on that and let's get these cupboards finished. Cupboards are now complete. The last thing I have to do is I have to punch the holes. So I want to punch these pin heads and then I want to fill them with some white sealant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this punch that I bought. What I'll do is I'll place it on top of the head of the pin and then hammer it in, and then once that is sunk down I will then fill it in with some multi-purpose white sealant. I'm happy with how the edges are looking. I got a nice clean tight fit, so there's not a lot of work to do to those edges. I'm happy with everything, and now I'm just gonna touch them up with a bit of sealant and then they will be complete and ready to be filled with clothes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reattach this light to here, and then I've got to reattach the Bluetooth speaker to the underneath the cupboard here because I originally had it in the wrong position, so I had to take it out and move it. The next step is to install the LED light under the cupboard. So I want an LED light under the cupboard where the sink is and beside the window. I've got a white LED strip that I'm going to install under this cabinet here. What I did was, I've also got to figure out how to keep these up. I'm going to try out some different ideas. I've got a hydraulic arm that I'm going to attach and see if that will work. Then what I'm going to do is, if you can see this cable in here, what I did was I ran it through the wall, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow me then to connect my LED strip to this 2-core cable, which is connected to the fuse box in the back. That will allow me then to run this LED strip under here, and then I would probably put a switch for that at the bottom here. Before I wrap up this vlog, I will show you how I've installed the LED light and where I've put the control panel. So the control panel is here at the end here. As you can see, there's a control panel, and it's a white control panel, so it really blends in well. That's the switch for the LED light, which is under here. And what I did was I just stuck it to the underside of the cabinet. It's bright out now today, so you can't really see it. At night time, this lights up and it looks really, really cool at night time. I've also now installed a hydraulic arm to keep these doors open. What I've done is I've installed this hydraulic arm here that will keep this door from falling down on your head. You don't have to keep the door open with your head when you're trying to get stuff out of the cupboard. So it's really handy that this hydraulic arm, and I will put a link to that in the description below this video. It's very important when you do get these hydraulic arms that they're 60N, because I think I got them off Amazon and they sent me out ones that were 120, and they were way too powerful for this size door. So that meant that I wasn't able to use them because I couldn't actually close them because they would have damaged the door. The 60 is just perfect, 60N, you see it there. How I installed these was I took a notch out of the shelf just here on the edge, because if I didn't take that notch out, that wouldn't have been able to close like so. Also, if you see up here, what I did was I cut out this little block here because these screws were too long and they would have come out through the 6mm tongue and groove door. So I got these screws and then I measured up the depth of the screws, and then I cut this block and I used some glue. I pilot drilled them first and then screwed them to the door, and that's how I connected this. And then once you have this bit screwed to the side of the door and then you have this part connected to the door, what you do then is you actually hook on this part separately. So you click it on here and then you click it on here, and then that keeps the door up. So I've put these hydraulic arms on all the doors, and that means that when you open them, they will stay open. You're able to get access to whatever you have in the overhead cupboards. Same with this one. They stay up. So what I did for the LED light was, this is the LED light. So I cut out for this switch, and then I used some silicone to secure it from the inside. That cable from the switch then connects to the 2-core cable that I've run from the fuse box. 12 volts fuse box runs up from the back down there and through the wall up here. And then what I did was, so that's hooked up to the 2-core cable, and then I've run the actual LED strip down here. Down there I drilled a hole and then ran the LED strip all the ways down along here, and that runs all the ways down to the very back. So that LED light gives a nice white light in the cooking area, the kitchen area, and also under the bed. So what I'll do is I'll install another LED light and put it under the opposite cupboard here on the opposite side of the bed. I will also extend it into the wardrobe, so when you open the wardrobe you can actually see inside it with the LED light. So that's how I've installed the LED light and also the hydraulic arm to keep the doors open. That's it for this episode. It's coming along now. I've got the cupboards done on both sides and I'm really happy with how they're looking. It's been a lot of work, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and I can't wait to hit the road in this. and discover Ireland. If you want to follow along with the rest of the van build, or maybe you want to watch some previous episodes, please do subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell icon, and you'll be the first to be notified for future videos in the van build. If you like the video, give it a like, and I will see you on the next one.